Okay, so last video of the day, I know there are so many more other trades that we could cover, lots of stuff, and I don't really feel like doing a big recap video because I want to kind of analyze and dissect all the rest of the stuff that happened today over the next few days, because there are certainly some very interesting stories that we can dissect from the events of today's trade deadline. But we're talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs because, of course, we are. Kind of have to touch the Leafs topic because I think it's very interesting what they did here. The Leafs made themselves two trades today, and they're both really interesting kind of conversations to have. The first one, by chronological order via Elliot Friedman's Twitter account, it's Ben Hutton to Toronto in exchange for a 5th-round pick in 2022 to the Anaheim Ducks. Now, this is a really interesting acquisition here, and it's one that I honestly kind of was super intrigued to read about more, because Ben Hutton is a 27-year-old depth defenseman making $950,000 until the end of this season. He is a former Vancouver Canuck, and back when he was with the Canucks, he had himself what was a very impressive start to his NHL career. He was always a really interesting prospect in the University of Maine system with the Black Bears over there, and when he made his debut with the Canucks in 2015-16, I remember there was a very good part of the NHL community and fan base and media that saw Ben Hutton as one of the best defensive prospects stepping into an NHL organization that year. I remember Craig Button said that Ben Hutton, Colton Parayko, and Shane Gostisbehere were the three next generation great defenders that were going to be in the NHL that year that you had to keep a watch out for in terms of the rookie conversation. And he was really good, honestly. He was the defender of the year for the Canucks in 2015-16. But he had a bad 2018, so 2 years after that, 6.61 games played. It wasn't really all too good for him. He rebounded 20 points in 69 games in the next year, but the Canucks could not trade him because, of course, they couldn't. They were allergic to trading players for assets back in that time. However, give it a few years in California, and Ben Hutton, with 5 points in 34 games played with the Ducks this season, seems to have established himself as a pretty serviceable bottom-pair defenseman. Now, he's 27 years old, not making a whole bunch of money, so he's just kind of that extra depth piece, which is why the price for him was even a 5th-round pick. However, I saw Leafs fans talking about just how Ben Hutton is going to mesh with this lineup and how specifically it seems like he and Mitch Marner are going to become very good friends because of the goofiness that Hutton showed off in that Barbie girl lip-syncing video. But at the end of the day, the Leafs are making a move to bolster up their defensive depth. This comes off with the move that they did yesterday to acquire a goaltender in David Rittich, boosting up their goaltending depth. And in turn, we have ourselves what is the Nick Foligno trade, of course, boosting up their forward depth too. Very nice all-round trade deadline period for Toronto. And in fact, it doesn't even end there because they make one more move here. It is Barabanov getting traded out to the San Jose Sharks organization in exchange for Antti Suomela, who is a Finnish prospect. Prospect? I don't really know. He's been up and down NHL. He's played a few NHL games here and there, so I don't really know if he counts as a prospect. But he's a depth winger who spent some time in the San Jose system this season and the last few. He spent his time with the Sharks and the Barracuda, 6 points in 10 games played in the AHL. But it's a really interesting move here just in terms of what the return is, because Barabanov is a guy whom, with the Galchenyuk breakthrough on the lineup, I guess you could say, and the Foligno acquisition, you didn't really have too much room for Barabanov in your lineup. As a result, Kyle Dubas is trading Barabanov to San Jose, where he will get a chance to play. This is good because Kyle Dubas is going out there and making sure that the Russian players and the players that they get from Europe are not just rotting away in Toronto with taxi squad rights or 13th forward roles. Kyle Dubas is doing his guys a solid here, and we see this as a consistent pattern with players that they get from Russia. If they're not working out in Toronto, he'll trade them away and give them an opportunity elsewhere where they will have the chance to go out there and succeed. So this is a move that doesn't really hurt the Toronto Maple Leafs. Sure, you could say they lost it because Barabanov seems to be a more valuable asset to an NHL team than Suomela looks like he would be, but at the end of the day, this is just a move that they're doing to do Barabanov a solid because they wanted to make sure this guy goes out there and gets his chops in the NHL, and he wouldn't have had that in Toronto, especially after the Foligno trade, etc. So, two trades made here for the Leafs, Ben Hutton and Suomela coming over, talking to the commentary they may enjoyed. This was Trolls 99, and bye.